The calm Caribbean, a region often associated with peace and natural beauty, was shattered this September by a sudden and violent event that sent shockwaves far beyond its shores. The USS Jason Dunham, a powerful U.S. Navy destroyer, intercepted and ultimately sank a vessel it claimed was a narco boat linked to Venezuela's notorious Tren de Aragua gang, a group accused of trafficking drugs and weapons across the region. The confrontation left 11 people dead, turning a routine patrol into an international flashpoint and instantly escalating already simmering tensions between the United States and Venezuela. While Washington insisted the operation was a necessary step in its ongoing war on drugs, Caracas denounced the attack as a calculated act of aggression, accusing the U.S. of seeking a pretext for military intervention and even invasion. In a bold and dangerous response, Venezuelan Sukhoi fighter jets buzzed the U.S. warship, flying low and close in a dramatic show of defiance that brought both nations to the brink of open conflict at sea. The world's media quickly seized on the story, as two powerful narratives collided, America presenting itself as fighting transnational crime, while Venezuela claimed it was defending its sovereignty and territorial integrity. What began as diplomatic disputes, economic sanctions, and harsh rhetoric has now escalated into a dangerous military standoff, with warships and fighter jets facing off in the Caribbean. President Maduro, already isolated on the world stage and struggling with internal unrest, now finds himself confronting overwhelming U.S. military power just off his nation's coast, raising fears of further escalation. The September incident was far more than a simple skirmish. It marked the beginning of a new, riskier phase in U.S.-Venezuela relations, with both sides unwilling to back down. Now the stakes have become global, as every move is closely monitored by world leaders and military analysts, all watching for any sign that this standoff could spiral into a much wider conflict. The naval clash is just the tip of a much larger U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean. The Trump administration's anti-drug surge has deployed over 4,000 troops, amphibious assault ships, destroyers, submarines, and F-35s, far more than needed for drug interdiction. The USS Iwo Jima and stealth fighters suggest preparations for something bigger than counter-narcotics. Many analysts see this as coercive diplomacy, or even a prelude to regime change. The U.S. has never recognized Maduro's presidency, imposed crippling sanctions, and labeled his government a terrorist organization. To Caracas, the Armada looks less like law enforcement and more like an invasion force. Whether to intimidate or invade, the U.S. presence has raised military tensions to levels unseen in decades. The region is left guessing Washington's true intentions. Venezuela has answered the U.S. buildup with fierce rhetoric and mass mobilization. Maduro calls the U.S. actions an existential threat, urging millions in the Bolivarian militia to prepare for guerrilla resistance. State TV shows civilians training with rifles, signaling that any invasion will meet fierce, widespread resistance. Beyond mobilizing at home, Maduro courts support from China and Russia, seeking diplomatic protection. A high-profile meeting with China's ambassador and public gestures like flaunting a Huawei phone underscore this alliance. Maduro claims direct communication with Xi Jinping, projecting an image of powerful backing. Whether or not these ties are as close as claimed, the message is clear. Any U.S. action risks a broader confrontation. Venezuela is betting its alliances will deter American intervention. While the U.S. flexes its military muscle in the region, projecting power through warships, aircraft, and military exercises, China's influence in Venezuela is far more subtle, but no less significant. Instead of soldiers, Beijing sends investment, technology, and capital, becoming a crucial economic partner for Caracas. Over the past decade, Beijing has poured billions of dollars into Venezuela through loans, infrastructure projects, and oil-for-loan deals, helping to keep the country's economy afloat even as it faces international isolation. These investments have made Caracas a key partner in China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, linking Venezuela's future to Beijing's global strategy. Chinese firms are now deeply embedded in Venezuela's vital oil sector, providing expertise, equipment, and much-needed financing. This partnership ensures a steady flow of energy to China, while giving Beijing significant leverage over President Maduro's government. Recent deals, such as a $1 billion 20-year oil contract, highlight China's long-term commitment to Venezuela's stability. For Beijing, this support is pragmatic. China wants to protect its massive investments and ensure a stable environment for its companies, rather than exporting its political ideology. A US-backed regime change could put billions of dollars in Chinese assets at risk, threatening years of economic cooperation. That's why Beijing continues to prop up Maduro, offering diplomatic and economic support to keep his government in power, even as it carefully avoids direct military involvement or confrontation with the US. For China, a stable, even if isolated Venezuela is far preferable to chaos or a pro-Western government that might threaten its interests. In the end, China's economic lifeline not only keeps Maduro afloat, but also complicates US efforts to reshape Venezuela's future. Days after the US strike, China launched its Harmony 2025 mission, sending the hospital ship CNS on a 220-day tour of Latin America. Officially humanitarian, the mission's timing and route are a clear countermove to US military posturing. The will visit key regional ports, offering medical aid and goodwill, contrasting sharply with US warships. This is soft power in action. China builds influence by healing, not threatening. Previous missions like Harmony 2024 treated tens of thousands, boosting China's image abroad. The hospital ship's presence normalizes Chinese naval activity in the Americas, subtly challenging US dominance. For Latin American nations, China's approach offers tangible benefits and a welcome alternative to US pressure. It's a sophisticated strategy, advancing interests without firing a shot. The US and China are waging a battle for influence in Latin America, one with warships, the other with doctors. America's show of force is meant to deter but risks appearing imperialistic and heavy-handed. China's hospital ship, by contrast, wins goodwill and positions Beijing as a compassionate partner. Both nations have used humanitarian missions, but China's timing lets it seize the narrative. The US Navy's recent medical deployments are overshadowed by its combat fleet. Regional reactions are telling US militarization sparks unease while China's ship is welcomed. Leaders like Mexico's president warn against unilateral US action. The contrast highlights Latin America's desire for a multipolar world, not just US dominance. China's soft power is gaining ground where American hard power falters. The standoff in the Caribbean signals a new era. Great power rivalry has arrived in America's backyard. The presence of US and Chinese warships patrolling these tropical waters is a stark reminder of the escalating tensions. This is not just a regional issue. It has global implications that could reshape international relations. The Monroe Doctrine's days are over. China is now a permanent player in the region. Beijing's influence is growing, and its strategic partnerships with countries like Venezuela are a testament to its long-term ambitions in Latin America. The risk of escalation is real. Another misstep could trigger war, refugee crises, and even draw in China or Russia. The humanitarian impact could be devastating, with displaced families and refugee boats becoming a common sight. US pressure may backfire, pushing Venezuela and others closer to Beijing and Moscow. This could lead to a new axis of power that challenges American influence in the Western Hemisphere. China's soft power, contrasted with US hard power, is winning friends among nations wary of intervention. Infrastructure projects and humanitarian aid are helping China build goodwill and secure strategic footholds. The hemisphere's geopolitical order is shifting. Latin America is no longer just an American sphere. Regional summits now feature a diverse array of leaders, reflecting the changing dynamics. The events of September 2025 reveal a multipolar world where US dominance is no longer assured. The global power shifts are evident in international forums and military parades showcasing multinational cooperation. China's global reach, economic and diplomatic, now challenges American hegemony. The presence of Chinese container ships in Latin American ports and embassies in major cities underscores this new reality. The Caribbean is a new front in global competition. The strategic importance of these sea routes cannot be overstated, as they are now a focal point for military and economic activities. How this drama unfolds will shape the rules of engagement for a new Cold War in the 21st century. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely to see how these superpowers navigate this complex geopolitical landscape.